Good morning, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Monday, September 19th, around noontime Mountain Time 2022. Puerto Rico, 1.3 million customers without power. That is up just a few percent from the entire island, which has been without power for over 24 hours. 1.3 million people without power, and that's the big story. This is not over. Hurricane Fiona continues its catastrophic rainfall over Puerto Rico. Keep calm. It's boom time. Hurricane Fiona makes landfall in the Dominican Republic as most of Puerto Rico remains without power, just like we saw. Take a look at some of this footage of a bridge being washed away.
Getting washed out, if we can show it one more time. Chad, this is what you were mentioning this in the previous hour. The danger of flash flooding is so severe right now that scenes like this could be repeating themselves for hours now, for days potentially.
Absolutely.
Crazy footage there. I don't know why it just didn't let us watch it there. That's kind of weird.
That video that Layla was showing us just a few moments ago of that bridge getting washed out, if we can show it one more time. Chad, this is what you were mentioning this in the previous hour. The danger of flash flooding.
Take a look at the guy, how upset he is, because he knows now he's stuck.
Scenes like this could be repeating themselves for hours now, for days potentially.
Absolutely, Jim. There are places in rivers that have river gauges that are now higher than during Maria.
Yeah, and he's not making that up there. And we're going to get to some of those rainfall totals in just a second. Here's some more footage as Fiona made landfall. It's raining shingles. So clearly we can see here lots of devastation, and it is not over. As we can see, the entire island of Puerto Rico is without power. Next is the Dominican Republic. It's going to head up through the Virgin Islands, and the track is making it, showing it just east of Bermuda as a major Cat 3 hurricane, and it's going to destroy that island potentially. So heads up there. Here are the current conditions for Puerto Rico position. Precipitation at 84 sites. And we're going to take a look at 24 hours here. Look at this, 14 inches, 18 inches, 16 inches. And it's still raining there. We're going to get to the satellite in just a second. 22 inches here in La Plaza, Caguas. 22 inches. What else do we have? Anything bigger than 22 so far? That is pretty impressive. 22 inches, 26.8 inches in Rio Cerrillos. Holy macaroni. And the rain is continuing to come down. Here's the current track. It's going to move over the Dominican Republic here. It's going to strengthen as it heads up towards Bermuda. Look at the path it's putting it as a major hurricane, 8 a.m. Friday, just off the western shore of Bermuda. So if you're in Bermuda now, batten down the hatches or get out of Dodge. Key message for Hurricane Fiona. Heavy rains from Fiona will continue to produce life-threatening and catastrophic flooding along with mudslides and landslides across Puerto Rico through tonight. Life-threatening flash flood and urban flooding is likely for eastern portions of the Dominican Republic through Tuesday. So there is your warning. And here we are looking, let's just play this live at the eye, which is now directly over the Dominican Republic. Doesn't look like many effects here on Haiti. But certainly the eastern portion of the Dominican Republic probably getting battered right now as the maximum wind speeds are at 85 miles per hour. And then you can see the bands of rain continuing across Puerto Rico. They are not stopping anytime soon. So this rain is going to continue to fall and add to those ridiculous numbers that we just saw, 26 inches of rain in some areas. And here we'll watch as we move the model through Fiona come up the coast there and do what it does as the Four Corners region picks up some flooding rain there, and another tropical system is off to the west. This is strengthening quite deep here, maybe 950 millibars when it approaches Bermuda, 940. So should be an interesting storm as it progresses. Now let's talk about the storm up in Alaska. It literally pulled homes from their foundations. And communities along Alaska's western coast were evacuating to higher ground and assessing damage now, obviously, as Merbach pushes inland. So big stuff happening there. Here's the flooding potential over the next few days. The Four Corners region, where we are, right here in southwest Colorado, is going to be picking up a deluge Wednesday and Thursday. But right now, it's the Tahoe area and the Central Sierras that's going to be picking up huge amounts of moisture today, tomorrow, and into Wednesday. So it's a 3-day event there with up to 4, 5, or 6 inches of rain falling in some burn scar areas. There could be some devastating mudslides. So take heed. Don't be scared. Be prepared. As Lake Mead continues to rise, good news. Take a look at all this rise in the summer when it's usually dropping. So good news for the Southwest. Flooding impacts across Puerto Rico continue as Hurricane Fiona tracks northwestward. Hurricane Fiona continues to affect Puerto Rico and nearby islands with heavy rainfall, flash flooding, damaging winds, and rough seas. There will be an increased threat of rip currents along the Atlantic seaboard this week as Fiona tracks northward, starting with Florida. So meanwhile, the heat will build across the center of the nation with some new record highs expected along with elevated to critical fire weather conditions with record lows in the west. Now at least 2 dead as Super Typhoon Nanmadol slammed Japan and is now almost done with all the islands. It's way up in the north now. The powerful typhoon barreled through southwest Japan on Monday, unleashing torrential rains and lashing winds that killed at least 2 people, triggering floods, down power lines, and saw millions advised to evacuate to safety. And you can see here a mudslide and some rescue crews looking for people and the flooding across the farmland. So lots of devastation there in Japan from Nanmadol. As frost sweeps France, the coldest summer night ever recorded in north-central Italy, and the chilliest September 18th for the Netherlands ever. And if we look over here, we can see 5 gigatons of ice building today right there in Greenland. Seismic update. No quakes to note. Some activity up here in Alaska, no doubt due to that huge low-pressure system wreaking havoc in the region. And we do have a quake up here near Svalbard, 4.3, so some Arctic activity. Now, worldwide volcano news, nothing spectacular except Alade volcano, which is at Lasav Island in the northern Kurils, had a new eruptive phase with lots of soot there. Take a look at the ash. A new eruptive phase of the volcano started the 15th of September at 39 local time. The explosive activity appears to be Strombolian type in origin and continues at moderate levels. A gas and water vapor plume contains some amount of ash is extending 32 kilometers from the volcano. And satellite images from the 17th of September hints that elevated surface temperature in the summit crater continue. Alade is the tallest and northernmost volcano in the Kuril Islands and is one of the most active. So looking pretty active as we head over to Iceland to check out the Tjörnes fracture zone as activity decreases substantially but is still ongoing. So we'll keep a close eye on Iceland as we move over to space weather. We have a coronal hole, quite a big one. It's about to face us in a day or so, meaning this coronal hole stream will be here in about 3 or 4 days. So Thursday, we should expect a coronal hole stream as we are currently being impacted by this coronal hole stream right now. Now, we are waiting for another formerly large sunspot group, AR 3089, which was last seen on September 6th, to turn around the limb. It's happening now, and doesn't seem like there's much spots there. We'll go to the latest. This may take a second. Thanks, Starlink. And here you can see that plage area, and there are some spots there now becoming visible. So we have a large sunspot area turning around the limb, and that's the best visual we can get on it right there. So that is the next sunspot that could bring us some activity, but the next space weather maker is this coronal hole. So we're going to be waiting on that. As we can see, that last coronal hole has elevated the plasma speed to up around 500, and it's now going back up and back into that 500 range. If we stay elevated like this and that second coronal hole hits us, it'll drive us up into geomagnetic storm level, 650 potentially. And so we might see some geomagnetic storm activity beginning on Thursday. So stay tuned. Scientists create matter from nothing in a groundbreaking experiment. Have you heard about this? It's not on the front page news. And it might be because we have now jumped into a different universe, a parallel universe. Now, the reports in early 2022, a group of researchers created strong enough electric fields in their laboratory to level the unique properties of a material known as graphene. And with these fields, the researchers were able to enable the spontaneous creation of particle-antiparticle pairs from nothing at all. This proved that creating matter from nothing is indeed possible, a theory first proposed by Julian Schwinger, one of the founders of quantum field theory. And with that knowledge, we can hopefully better understand how the universe makes something from nothing. Isn't that crazy? I thought so. Maya drug enema, study receives the Ig Nobel History Prize. Now, the IG Nobel History Prize was created to honor achievements that first make you laugh and then make you think. And this is an actual study. Mayan drug enema study received the Nobel History Prize. And there is lots of evidence, that the Mayans were sticking peyote and magic mushrooms right up the... And here's the paper, Hallucinogenic Drugs in Pre-Columbian Mesoamerican Cultures. Not the initial study on the enemas, but on hallucinogenic drugs in general. And pre-Columbian Mesoamerican cultures used a lot of them. Rare ancient tool found in Australia may have been made with kangaroo bone. Now, the rare finding is helping archaeologists piece together indigenous technologies used thousands of years ago. This piece was dated to between 3,800 and 5,300 years old, and it is only the last find of this kind was like 50 years ago, back in the 1970s. So this is a very rare bone point coming out of Australia. And here's the paper we pulled up, and we'll leave you links to that. Analysis and contextualization of a Holocene bone point from Murrawong, Glenlossie, Lower Murray River Gorge, South Australia. Now, as we close up, some interesting tidbits here. Follow the money. Now, here are the top 5 candidates ranked in order of fundraising that are currently probably going to run for president. Ron DeSantis is leading the pack with $174 million. J.B. Pritzker out of Illinois, $133 million, is in second place. Donald Trump is in third place. Tim Scott from South Carolina in fourth with a huge jump down to $35 million. Mike Pence has $18 million. And the current POTUS, the most popular president of all time, has only raised $11 million. So it's not looking good for Biden, or any of us, for that matter.
I mean, and we're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein. I mean, and we're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein. I mean, and we're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein.
Clown world. And that is a boom to knowledge. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. In a dystopian world where we're just taking genetically modified organisms and jamming them into children's arms, you tune into the Oppenheimer Ranch Project for peace of mind. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Share this with like-minded people and become a Patreon. Support the work we do. We love you. That's a boom.